next parent video is to describe some of the things that we do in preschool and pre-K classrooms related to numeracy and math concepts. As I make this video, conferences are coming up and you might hear some terminology that sounds a bit wacky. So I want to make sure that everybody understands some of the things that we're doing in preschool and pre-K at Calvary. As always, we always strive to do everything developmentally appropriate, so things that kids are ready for at their developmental age. That's why you don't see us doing a million tracing worksheets and you must write that in the lines kind of activities, because most kids are really not ready for that yet. And that also involves a lot of fine motor skills. So today I just want to go over a couple of concepts to make sure we're all on the same page. Again, if you're a teacher, feel free to go turn this video off and go back to what you were doing. One of the things that you hear kids do all the time is rote counting, and your child probably counts really high, really long, even when you ask them to stop, right? They say, "Oh, Mom, I can count to 100," and you're like, "Oh my gosh, please don't." So rote counting is just counting out loud. There's no objects attached, nothing else to touch or to look at, just simply walking around counting out loud, just getting the numbers in order. We do that a lot when we walk to the playground or if we do a cleanup game, that sort of thing. So that's just rote counting, just saying out loud, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and keep going. Some kids can go to 100, some kids can go to 10, and that's okay. We're all in different places. Another concept you'll hear a lot in preschool and pre-K classrooms is one-to-one correspondence. And one-to-one correspondence, hopefully I can demonstrate with our very fancy manipulative. So in pre-K Joy, we save a lot of these yogurt caps because they're really fun to play with and they have holes in them. So we have a whole giant container that I brought home of these. And so one-to-one correspondence is simply touching and counting. So if I'm going to do it correctly, I would only say a number when I touch it. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll oftentimes see kids skip over objects, count things twice, and they haven't really mastered one-to-one correspondence yet. They're still working on it, and that's okay because that's what we're here for, to work on it. And even kids who do get it sometimes still need more practice. So one-to-one correspondence is touching and counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you hear kids say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they haven't quite gotten it yet. So every time you touch, you say one number. We use these great yogurt pouch thingy bobbers, but you could use anything that you have. You could do one-to-one correspondence in your house. Does every plate have a fork for dinner? Does every baby doll have a bottle? Does every car have a garage? One-to-one correspondence. So it's pretty easy to play with, and there's so many opportunities that we do it throughout the day. One-to-one correspondence is just connecting one number with each object. Another math concept that we do in preschool and pre-K is shapes, mostly 2D, but also getting into 3D. And we want to make sure that kids understand the names of basic shapes. So square, rectangle, diamond, oval, circle, star, and heart are basically the very basic ones. And so again, we play with them a lot. We can draw them in chalk. We could put push pins and rubber bands to make a Gia-board for it. And so we look around the school building. You'll often hear us say, "Oh, are you under the light rectangle?" So we look up and we notice that the lights in the hallway are rectangles. They're too short, too long. And so we want to make sure that kids have opportunity to see shapes in their real experiences throughout the day. So we're doing pretty well on that. But again, more things to play with at home as well. Another really fun thing that we get to do is non-standard measurements. I'm just going to use my daughter's dates here, as in the food dates. Sorry, what's on my table. So these are my daughter's dates. She's a healthy eater. And so I want to measure them. And so instead of measuring with a ruler or a tape measure, which is still fun to have out and try anyway, we measure with non-standard measurements. Again, I brought home my yogurt caps, so I'm going to use these. We like to play with this a lot in school. We recently measured our friends with different things in the classroom, links and cube blocks. We found out how many cube blocks Vivian was. That was very exciting. They love doing this. So if I want to measure these dates, I'm just going to, it's hard to see on the camera here. I'm just going to line up, oops. I'm going to line them up. And I'm going to see, oh, I wonder how many yogurt caps long my dates are. I can make a prediction and guess first. It's a little bit more than 4. So non-standard measurement is not very precise. But you get the idea that you can measure something. You can see how long or how tall something is. So I'm describing here, my dates are about 4 yogurt caps long. And so you can measure so many things in your house. I've heard parents tell me that like they won't stop measuring. So sorry. But it's fun to measure how long your sister is. How many boxes can you stack? Right now we're stacking boxes in blocks. How many boxes can you stack to make your tower as tall as Judah? Let's make a prediction and try it out. So that's non-standard measurement. Lots of fun. The last 2 things I want to share with you are numeral formation and subitizing. So numeral formation is just how to write the numbers. And I know a lot of times parents are very concerned. Their kids are writing the numbers backwards. They write them illegible. They're going to get it eventually. Don't worry. So we expose them to how to write the numbers. We do it in shaving cream with our fingers. We finger paint with pudding. We do it with dry erase. We rainbow write with broken crayons. Everything you can imagine to give practice for those numeral formations. But it's okay if they don't get it completely this year. They still have kindergarten to look forward to. We can't do everything in pre-K. So we want to make sure that they're exposed to how to make the numerals. We have cool rhymes for them. Now I know this is not going to work because I can't do things backwards, but for example, the rhyme for 5 is straight across, take a dive. Around the bend, that's a 5. And so when I do morning meeting, if we count how many words we have, I'll just say that out loud. Oh, I have to make a 5. Straight across, take a dive, around the bend, and that's a 5. And we'll keep practicing those numeral formations all year long, but it's okay if they still write them backwards or a little wonky. We're just introducing it, giving them exposure to it. If they're ready, great. If they're not ready, it's okay. The last concept is called subitizing. And subitizing is probably an unfamiliar word unless you're hanging out with little kids all day. And the idea behind subitizing is that kids can recognize that 3 objects are still 3. They can conserve that amount. So 3 is still 3 whether I spread them out, whether I line them horizontally or vertically. They're still going to be 3 objects. And so one of the most fun ways that we can do subitizing in the classroom, where you just look at a set and you just know how many there are. So again, one-to-one correspondence is touching and counting, and that's what we do first. As kids are ready, we expose them to subitizing. Subitizing is, I have these objects ready to go. Okay, I can look at this group and say, there are 3 in my hand. I don't need to go through and say 1, 2, 3. I already know that this pile is 3. If you move the red, I still know it's 3. If you lay them on the table, I still know it's 3. That's called subitizing. Some kids are ready, some kids are not, but we expose them anyway. One of the most fun ways we do that in pre-K is by using dice. And so we use big dice and small dice and medium dice. We have them out in blocks. We have them in Legos. We have them in math. We have them in literacy centers. We have them in all kind of great places. And so the idea, we play these games at circle time too, is that you roll the die. Oh, what'd you get? And we want you to be able to graduate to the skill where you look at it and say, 3, this is 3. Some kids are still touching and counting. 1, 2, 3. So they are still doing one-to-one correspondence only, and they haven't achieved the idea of subitizing yet. And that's okay. That's why we're introducing it. That's why we're supporting it. That's why we're playing with it, because you can't master everything in October. We'll have nothing left to teach you. So we play a lot of games with die. You can do that as well. We have some like sneaky games where you can put objects in a bag and shake it up, shake it up, shake it up, and boom, how many do you have? And have them look and see quickly. Ooh, 3, shake it up again. Ooh, 4. We're looking at subitizing to about 6, but you can go higher if your child is ready. So I just wanted to share with you these concepts of math development in pre-K and preschool at Calvary. Again, we're working on rote counting, which is just speaking out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, getting those numbers in order. We're working on one-to-one correspondence, which is touch and count, touch and count, touch and count. We're working on basic shapes to make sure they understand the properties of those shapes and the names of them. Oh, look, too short, too long is called a rectangle. There's rectangles in the ceiling. We're also working on non-standard measurement, where I can measure things with objects like yogurt caps. I could see how long Dad's book is, how many Legos long is Mom's spoon, whatever it is, non-standard measurements. We're working on numeral formation with special rhymes to make it fun and engaging and messy a lot of times. And then also we're introducing the concept of subitizing, where you look at a group, you see the set, you know right away this is 4, and it's always going to be 4. If you haven't gotten there yet, again, it's okay. These are some of the skills that we're working on. You may hear some of these words at conferences or throughout the year, so we want to make sure that you are familiar with them. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it wasn't too confusing. And if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.